We're ready.
We're ready. I think we're going live. It says live on Zoom, and I'm waiting for live on Facebook. Here we are. We
We're live
are
on Facebook.
back on
We're back.
Facebook Live.
Ooh.
I am Melissa Cady, the Challenge Doctor, here with my awesome co-host, Dr. Kevin Cuccaro, out of Oregon. I'm here in Texas, and we are here for the Monday Motivations on Facebook. And if you're seeing me on Challenge Doctor, that's just because it is on my page, shot over from the Change Physician Facebook page. And if you haven't heard of the Change Physician, feel free to join our community at thechangephysician.com. And if you are a physician ally, even if you're not a physician, you're welcome in the community to just learn more about our crazy lives or about different types of stories and amazing transitions of physicians that created a more rewarding and fulfilling life and career, because a lot of these things apply to human beings in general. Agreed?
I totally agreed. And the reason I'm sort of looking around is because Facebook decided to screw up all their pages things. And so now I'm trying to dig through the
Oh,
pages.
well, then I'll just update everyone on our recent podcasts and upcoming ones. How about that?
Please do. Please do. Because I'm
Okay.
trying to share this to my peeps. And it's like, God, this brings up these technology companies with user interfaces. Like all of a sudden they get bored. And they're like, we need to update this thing and change it all around just to make it feel fresh. And it's like, well, we non-technology people, we like stability.
Yeah, well, I think they're targeting you, Kevin. They just want to make your life miserable.
They do. They do.
It's that external impact that we were talking about earlier. So we always review what the last 2 episodes were this past week. We do 2 podcasts a week. At least that's been our tempo so far we are actually just had our last 2 were, let's see here, episode 77 and 78. So we've been rolling here for a little while since the pandemic. But episode 77 was one of our host chats where Kevin and I talk about keeping it simple for health, wealth, and relationships, and just talking about how sometimes we overcomplicate life and, in various realms of human existence. And you'll just have to listen to that episode because we kind of go over a few different things and personal little examples of things and just general comments about our industry and human beings. But the episode 78 was the most recent one that came out with Dr. Rip Patel. He is probably the most returning guest we've had so far, about the physician experiences during the Texas Snowzilla, Snowpocalypse, Snowvid, whatever you want to call it. He and I, all 3 of us talked, and of course 2 of the 3 of us were in Texas during this craziness. So we give you our personal experiences and even how it applied to some of the medical realm and the challenges that came with it. So make sure to check in on those and our upcoming episodes. And by the way, Rip Patel's in Houston, and he's an emergency medicine physician. You can check out his earlier episodes for his story. I think that was in episode 69, but he had COVID, and we did an episode before that. So all kinds of stuff you can learn about with Rip Patel. And this upcoming 2 episodes, we have another host chat talking about when physicians or we don't know the answers to questions that patients give us, and that kind of realm of not knowing and how to handle that. So make sure to check out that episode coming up. That releases on Thursday. And then Dr. Eric Larson, who is an anesthesiologist, came back as a returning guest to discuss SARS-CoV-2 or COVID-19. And he's had a lot of personal research or discussions with people that are experts in that realm. So he gives his interesting perspective on what he sees the future of this pandemic and kind of where it's going. So make sure to check out episode 80, and that would be this coming Sunday for everyone to enjoy.
Yeah, I think that'll be a quite an interesting episode.
Yeah,
because Eric's perspectives are they're interesting, and again, he's a good thinker, which I enjoy talking to a thinker. He thinks differently than me, which it makes it even better because you want people who think different than you. And I do think our perspectives on what's going to occur is a little different, I think, than he has quite optimistic, but he has better than that. He's optimistic, and yet he has substance behind that optimism rather than just like, oh, it's going to be fine kind of a deal. So
And
Yeah,
he's pragmatic. I think he's a pretty
pragmatic.
practical guy too.
He
And he
is.
comes from a unique perspective too. His wife's a pediatrician, and some of the challenges from, the kids and whatnot. That was intriguing as well.
Hmm. And then I was thinking about the episode that we did, that we should do that again, another similar one, because in that particular episode we had done some, how do I say it, some simple metrics you can use, like uh what do you need to do, and the one on relationships I really liked that I could throw it out there, was this whole
Mm-hmm.
idea: if you were in a relationship, you want to make sure that you're positive on the number of um, positive interactions.
Mm-hmm.
So praising your partner or complimenting your partner as compared to the criticisms. And we talked about that, the positivity criticism ratio about 5 to 1, which there's varying research on that, but I think it's definitely doesn't hurt to do more positive than negative interactions. And yeah, but because I was also thinking about some of the little recommendations, and we can always be simplifying this stuff even more,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So I was thinking, like, okay, the food one, we quoted Michael Pollan's thing where it's like, eat food, mostly plants, not too much. And I was like,
Episode done.
you can add on to that, because so eat food, not too much, not too often, mostly plants. And I think then you could be done there, because then you're putting in this. I really, there's a couple of people I really want to get onto the podcast and about intermittent fasting, because I'm absolutely fascinated by that. And I do think there's a reason to not eat food that much or
Yeah.
that often, right? To have those stretches of time where you
Yeah.
are fasting. I think there's a lot there that can make sense. So
Oh,
anyway.
most definitely. And you made me just think of that Michael Pollan quote you just said about, your diet. You could do that for exercise.
Mm-hmm.
Move more, not too much, not too little, mostly, I don't know, outside. I don't know.
Like I say, move daily and lift something heavy, right? It's because if you
But
move,
not too much, not too little, because if you're not ready for it, your tissues aren't ready for it, and you could injure yourself. Not necessarily, but it's possible.
I, I, I know, but you can't add all the caveats in there. We can't have all
But you
the
can just
small print.
say move daily, not too much, too fast, or start slow, or something. Incrementally, move daily, incrementally more. How about that?
Incrementally more. Okay, that's better.
Incrementally more. Just
How
pacing.
about move each day more than the day before?
Yeah, but what if you are an ultramarathoner?
Oh, well, then we have problems. Yeah, because they're probably even a different category of simple
Yeah.
guidelines.
I guess if you're not a fitness enthusiast, then we're going to say move daily a little bit more each day or something.
Well, and I think that's the whole point of having really super simple rules is,
Yeah.
you're thinking for the majority rather than the minority. Because even from the dietary perspective, we could change that all up crazy, because when
Yeah.
people are doing things like bodybuilding and all those weird stuff,
They start splitting hairs. Yeah.
then the diet becomes like a crazy thing, and then they're going around with their macros and their micros and their metas and whatevers. I don't know, whatever they're doing. I never did it.
It's the KISS method. Keep it simple, stupid. Just move daily, move a little bit more each day until you acquire some fitness.
And lift something heavy. You should lift something heavy.
Move daily, lift occasionally, or I don't know.
I think you should lift something heavy every day. But here's the thing, because then you're hearing it and you're hearing like, oh, this is a big weight. And it doesn't have to be that big weight. I mean, it can be anywhere from 10 to 20 pounds or whatever. I have a book I bought. This was printed in like 1970 something. It's like I should pull it up here. True Health in 10 minutes or less a day or whatever. And this is really basic stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and his recommendation on lifting was literally like, a full bag of groceries. You should be able to lift a full bag of groceries
Mm-hmm.
pretty easily and consistently. Yeah. So you should lift something every day that's equivalent to a full bag of groceries or thereabouts, and
including your own body.
Including your own body. Well, that's the thing. Well, and then did we talk about that, like the measure of mortality, of the ability to get off the floor without assist? Like, if you want to have, I can't think of very few very few tests that you can do very, very easily in your home to predict mortality as that one, where literally, can you get off the floor without assist? Meaning you have to not use your hands, you can't grab anything, and get up off the floor.
Just like your little get-ups that you do.
Oh, my get-ups are so awesome. Yeah.
So this is a perfect segue into what you've been doing.
My motivation for the week. Well, my motivation, okay, the strength training is going well. I just completed week 7. So I have this sheet, right, that I'm writing everything down, and it's like 11 or 12 or I don't know. I don't know how many weeks. And so there's no rhyme or reason to it other than that's what it printed out as. And there's a number on this particular sheet. So I can use that as my extrinsic sort of guidepost here. But it's awesome. It's super awesome. And then the other thing that I was motivated to do, we talked about reading, and I'm like, well, how come I'm not reading? And I think a lot of it has come back to, we just recorded an episode before this one on, which will be come out in a couple of weeks, on this perceptual shift, like this lens of, is there a specific number that you need in order to feel safe, or is it a mindset that's feeling safe? And so I did a lot of kind of mindset introspection this weekend, and I was a little sort of motivated to pursue that a little bit more. Yeah, so it was an interesting weekend. How about you? What was your motivations?
Well, I don't remember what I said last week. I should write this down.
You should. We should put them on the bottom, like when we do it.
Yeah, so we should type it out. Hold ourselves accountable. Everybody listening, write it down.
Write it down. Write down our accountabilities.
Let's see. Well, let me just say what I really did this past week, because I didn't have a lot of work in the operating room last week. So we had some fence work done, but I was wanting to get some things done outside because, we've had a lot of leaves drop. I told you about the 21 bags of leaves. I still have more to do. I only did 2 more bags of some stuff, but I ended up cutting down some limbs, but there was some brush on the ground, like some little, little, I don't know what you want to call those, saplings. Is that
detritus?
What's that?
Detritus.
Oh, that word I have to look up.
It's just like junk. Like,
it's just like weeds, like
organic
or
matter.
Ivies.
Or cut organic matter. And
I gotta look that up. I don't know that word. I just, let me just expose my ignorance of that word. No, so I was like, oh, that looks that ivy, that might be poison ivy. Of course, I was wearing some shorts because I always like these. I'm a big fan of Athleta. Like, I love their, like, yes, Athleta, I love your stuff. Great quality, and I get like their full legging yoga pants. They're 3/4 one. They're like 9-inch, 7-inch, and 5-inch shorts, and they all have pockets on the side.
Need a hashtag Athleta so that they know.
I know, we should.
The podcast,
Oh, you should have seen it. My husband was laughing because I had one of those folding saws, and I was trying to get up in that oak tree, that last picture I showed you last week.
Yeah.
And I stuffed the saw in my pocket on the side, so I didn't have to carry it when I'm climbing the tree. So anyway, back to the poison ivy. I had a little touch of it on my right thigh, and I'm like, we'll just see how it goes. And then I thought, well, maybe a little later, it felt like I had like a mosquito bite. It's like, And then I was just kind of holding off. And then it literally took like 2 days for it to just start blowing up. I try to ignore it and not touch it and stuff. But I bought some stuff on Amazon like a day or 2 ago to try to, take care of it. So it's ursodiol. Ursodiol is I can't remember how to say it, but it's like what is, on the poison ivy that causes this skin irritation. At first, when I looked down like a day or 2 later, it looked like I'd bumped my thigh, like bruising, like a bruising look, which I had no idea to that extent of damage, because I wasn't scratching it that badly. So anyway, I decided this morning I woke up 3 times in the middle of the night because it was itching so badly. I had to go by our grocery store on the way to work and couldn't wait for the Amazon to arrive, today or tomorrow. And I had to like disrobe it in the bathroom at work and like wash my thighs and my arm, everything I'd gotten it from overnight. Everything touched everything, I guess. It was awful. So anyway, I was thank God for this thing that binds to this resin, whatever you call it, from the poison ivy, and then I put some anti-itch stuff, and thank God I would have been miserable. So my poison ivy experience is reflecting the outdoor work. I got a lot of exercise doing, and it's amazing talking about intermittent fasting, the benefits of that. Well, the intermittent increased heart rate from just sawing large limbs on a tree with a manual saw instead of me worrying about cutting off my arm with my chainsaw, which I do have. I do live in Texas, but I'm not a big chainsaw person.
Yeah.
Don't need any chainsaw massacre kind of self-inflicted injuries going on. So yeah, so I learned about poison ivy for the first time in a personal experience, and I did get some running in a couple times this past week. So I had a lot of intermittent like 160 170 heart rate, which for 47-year-old I think it's 220 minus your age. So
Yeah.
I'm technically at my max heart rate, not a percentage of it,
Yeah.
but I'd
I'm
have to
always kind of
calculate that.
I'm kind of interested in looking that stuff up a little bit.
173 I think is my max,
Yeah.
but I do hit it.
Well, and you obviously want to make sure you're trained and how your max heart rate goes, but I was interested on the actual number versus perceived exertion.
Yes.
You
Oh, I
know,
can't talk. That's for sure.
yeah, but
It's
you
I'm
pushed it.
huffing and puffing.
Yeah, that's awesome. But
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because something that people don't necessarily know. So you have both of my atria slightly enlarged. It's something that's not uncommon for people that have been like, I wouldn't say I was the hardest core athlete, but I was, I would say I was very athletic through most of my life. Um, so there is a certain amount of stress, and you talk about resilience and anti-fragility or whatnot. So there's, you always wonder how those compensations happen and how that affects heart rate and, the stroke volume, all these different things that determine your capacity to handle these types of stresses. So anyway, but it was enough for people to be like, oh, we want you to get an echocardiogram then we got to make sure you don't have a little hole in your heart. And yeah, so they're slightly enlarged, but nothing clinically important.
so I wanted to say I got a text from my brother-in-law
Uh-huh.
with detritus that includes the spelling as well as the definition for. So would you like the
Oh,
full definition of?
I would love to be informed by your brother-in-law.
Yeah. So what geology, loose material such as rock fragments or organic particles. 2A, a product of disintegration, destruction, or wearing away. 2B, debris, miscellaneous remnants. I like, it's basically waste organic matter, kind of
So
small.
can you call certain people in this world detritus as well?
Oh yeah, you could use detritus. You should use detritus at least once a day. That's what we need to do. And we'll move from Monday motivations. We should do the word of the week
Ooh.
and have a word
Oh, let's
that
learn
we
something.
can challenge people to use every day for a week.
Hmm.
We get some
Okay.
words.
We won't pick from the Urban Dictionary. We'll select like legit words.
Detritus is an awesome word.
Actually, if your brother-in-law is listening, uh, there is a word that orchidaceous.
Orchidaceous.
It means flashy.
Orchidaceous.
Orchidaceous. Look it up.
Oh,
yeah. I learned that one from
one
of those email definitions. I don't know how I got on that list, but they sent me like a word of the day or word of the week kind of thing. It's pretty cool.
Flashy. Orchidaceous. Relating.
It probably depends where you look it up, but apparently at some point in the last century or two is used as a kind of like, like an orchid, like it's showy.
Well, yeah, as an adjective relating to or denoting plants of the orchid family. So I could see how that word would evolve then to be showy or ostentatious. So yes, according to Merriam-Webster, the number one definition is of relating to or resembling the orchids, because orchidaceous is a root from that Orchidacea, that genus or whatever family. And then showy, ostentatious, because orchids are showy. I don't know that I don't think they're an ostentatious flower though. I really like orchids.
I like it.
Think that they have profound and deep beauty without any sort of ostentatious.
Very particular care, though.
Well, they're
Yeah.
pricky little buggers, but I don't know. They're not. I wouldn't call them an ostentatious flower, though.
I think they have a little bit of showiness to them, because you
Well,
have like one or two, and they're just like, that's all you need.
that's all. But that's all. That's not ostentatious. An ostentatious orchid would be one that's just like, blowing up like one of them crazy flowers, like geraniums. Geraniums those are ostentatious because they're just blopping out little geranium blossoms everywhere. No, orchids just are like, hey, we only need to do a couple of these because we're good.
They're just awesome by themselves.
Just awesome, right? They just know that this is all they need to do, and
Simplicity.
they don't need over. Yeah, that's why they're a simple flower, simple but deep. They're my flower.
We go all over the place on the Change Physician, don't we? Oh boy.
Oh boy. Yes.
Well, what else do we have I guess my upcoming this week, I didn't say anything, but I'm going to treat my poison ivy.
I think that's a good motivation. You have a little external motivation in that one.
Yes. It's amazing how sensory experiences get your attention, and we will take care of them.
So my motivation is the other thing I've never revealed on the Change Physician before. Another extrinsic. I do very good with these external goals. Like there's a number, there's some set thing I have to project to. And the goal for this year was to hit Marriott Platinum status because
first world goals.
Awesome. Yeah, talk about first world goals, right? Yeah. So when the SBG people we've been Marriott members for a long period of time, and it's just, you do that, right? Because why waste your rewards? And then Marriott bought the Sheraton hotel change, so they had SPG, and when they did that, they had to revise the point status, and so the SPG members are super upset because they kind of got a little bit screwed. But for the Marriotts, what happened to us is it bumped us for that year or 14 months into platinum status. Holy crap. Platinum is night and day difference from gold. Like it was a big difference. And we were traveling at the time, and like you go and you get your basic room, and we were in Tokyo, and all of a sudden they upgrade you to the suite, and you're like, oh, this is pretty sweet. Wow. So anyway, my family laughs at me because I'm like, I'm going to get this again. And so this particular year, what Marriott did is, because of the pandemic, they gave you your basic rewards nights because we have a credit card. Then they gave you half of something. So you started off in this thing, and then they had a promotion going where if you stay for 2 nights, they'll give you 4 nights. So what I've been doing with my wife, and I'm like, hey, we're going to go stay at a hotel for 1 night because, it's good. We're in a pandemic, got to get away from the kids. My kids are old enough to stay home alone. But we're going to find the cheapest hotel. We're going to get it for 2 nights. We'll only stay for 1 so we can get 4. And I'm happy to say in the next 2 stays, we are going to hit our platinum nights.
Oh, well, isn't that a special day?
Yes. It's going to be great because listen to the episode with Eric Larson, 2022, travel should open up. We will be ready. I'm so excited.
You're ready to be traveling in style.
Traveling in style. Well,
yeah,
it isn't that big of a deal other than they give you upgrades. Upgraded room is kind of sweet. And then they also give you if it's a Sheraton hotel with a lounge, you get free lounge access, which again, you think is kind of stupid, but holy crap, actually some of those lounges are
pretty sweet.
Nice. Yeah, pretty nice. So that's my motivation, is to get the second to last stay in so that we can achieve those nights and move into platinum.
So from poison ivy treatment to platinum status, you got it all. Change.
Yeah, a little orchidaceous, I guess, but
way to tie that. I can't even do that sound. Anyway, why don't you take us out?
I'll take us out. So, hey, folks, welcome again to the Change Physician. This is the Monday Motivations for the Change Physician podcast. If you are interested, you can subscribe to the show on iTunes, or you can like the Facebook page at thechangephysician.com. And if you are a physician or physician ally, you can join the community at thechangephysician.com. And until next time, folks, stay well.
Bye.
Stay orchidaceous.
Stay orchidaceous.
Avoid detritus and